Welcome to the Nebraska Hawk's Nest. These guys are brave! They're Hawkeyes, living in enemy territory. Listen, these guys are way past their prime, but they're still Hawkeyes! They're spreading the Hawkeye hype to all of Nebraska. The frost advisory is canceled! Corn huskers? More like corn suckers. Are you ready for this podcast? Let's go Hawks!
All right, welcome back to the Nebraska Hawk's Nest. We're here with another edition of Collector's Corner, and with us we have Dave from West Branch, Iowa. Apparently, like the West Branch area is like a hotbed for Hawkeye collectors because we got one of the biggest and the best man caves out there right now. Dave, how's it going, man?
It's going great, thank you.
So Dave's going to give us a little bit of a tour here of this amazing Hawkeye Man Cave, which I really already, from what I've heard about, want to watch a Hawkeye game there this season as soon as possible. He's going to walk us through the basement, show everything that he's got, and he's going to show some really cool Hawkeye collectibles that mean a lot to him and that have a really cool story behind them. So Dave, why don't you go ahead, and we're going to just sit here in awe as you show us around that awesome basement.
Okay, well, I just want to also point out that my wife grew up in Nebraska, grew up in southeast Nebraska, and when we bought a house in Iowa City, she said, you know, you can have the basement, just don't have anything leak upstairs. So when we moved to West Branch 6 years ago, she said the same thing, and I'm not sure if she's regretted it yet. But so I've got the basement for Hawkeye stuff, but I've added a little bit of Nebraska just because my wife's from Nebraska and I love her. But first and foremost, my son, who's 10, had the idea from watching and learning a little bit about Hayden Fry, about the pink locker room, and he gave me the idea. So we painted, we'll go in here first, and we'll show you our bathroom down in the basement we painted it all pink in a tribute to Hayden Fry.
That's awesome. Most
of it's pink. We have a little story up here because in my head, there are two people that hated the pink locker room the most was Bo Schembechler and Jim Harbaugh. And this is the story that was in the paper back when he was 7 years old, back in, I think, 1972, when his dad was an assistant coach at Iowa. And when his first day in town, he got hit and broke his leg. So I put that in the pink locker room as a tribute to him loving our pink locker room. So
that's awesome.
I want to point out that we do have just a little bit of Husker in our basement, and that's my wife. We have a bedroom down here. We'll just show it briefly. Just has some Hawkeye things. We keep the door shut for the most part because that's where the source of the evil comes from.
Oh, yikes!
Okay.
But, so, is she a Hawkeye fan then? Now, did you say, Dave?
I think she's a true blood Hawkeye fan, but she'll have to vouch for that one way or the other. So, but if many people know that there used to be a McDonald's on Riverside Drive in Iowa City that had all kinds of memorabilia up, and they remodeled several years ago, and they put all of them up for auction. So one of the things I bought, and it served a couple different purposes. This is the kick from October 19th, 1985 that I bought off their auction that went to a good charity. I also bought a 4 foot by 5 foot picture of Niall Kennick. I'll show you here in a little bit. But the significance of the kick wasn't that it was Iowa versus Michigan 1 versus 2, but this is also a reminder of my wedding day because this was October 19th, 1985. I got married October 19th, 2002. So 17 years later is the kick, which was our wedding. So that's how I remember my wedding and our wedding day. So
that's great. That's a really cool piece.
Another thing, you know, there are many people bought cutouts for Kennick and Carver this year, and I thought I'd do a little something different because we know how Keith Duncan has destroyed the Huskers over the years. So what I did, instead of getting something for Kenny, I got a picture of Keith Duncan that was on display at Memorial Stadium all year this year. So if you look down here at this picture right here, he's right in the very first row of Memorial Stadium, just staring at Frost all season long. So I had that there. Only people even know and really realize who that was, but I got the blessings from him to put that up at Memorial Stadium. So that was pretty significant, and I thought pretty cool. So
that's fantastic. The legend of that kit continues to grow.
Exactly. So if you head this way, you'll see I just got a lot of different things on the wall, but some things I consider kind of a little bit more unique. This is recent purchase from Bravo Sports Marketing from Carver Hawkeye Arena when they tore out some of the seats up high to make a little bit of luxury suites. These were 4 seats from Carver Hawkeye Arena that I got down in the basement. So just a reminder of one of our favorite events is Hawkeye Wrestling at Carver, obviously. So
that's really cool. Do they still have those for sale, or are they all sold out now?
There might be a few left. There's also individual just seats, not the whole seat, but individual seat backs as well. But this was a deal I got. They sold me all 4 of them. But I do believe at one time through Bravo Sports Marketing, they still had some for sale. They've been really great to work with. So
I'm gonna have to get on there and see if they have any. That's pretty cool.
One of my Hawkeye heroes, as for many of us, is Chris Street. So I wanted to show you a significant picture here. This picture here, I was one of the few people in the state of Iowa that also liked Duke. But this is Chris Street's last game as an Iowa Hawkeye at Cameron Indoor Stadium, shooting over the top of Grant Hill. So that was pretty significant.
That's great. That was an awesome game.
Yeah. And the wallpaper I have on the wall here is from a few years ago, from way up in the north, the north end zone that my son took this about 3 years ago. I think it was Iowa Penn State, but it's just a chance to use up some wall space from a distance, as well as shuffleboard table as well, and a working barber chair that my son gives me the best haircuts he can give me as well. So
that's cool.
Yeah. A few other things here. This picture up here, and like I said, a lot of the stuff on the wall has some significant meaning for me. This is the first home game after Chris Street died of when we played and beat the Fab Five. In the middle here, if you notice, this is back in 1991. This was the Iowa-Ohio State game, right the day after the shootings on campus. And this is significant because I was in the basement of Van Halen when those shootings happened. Didn't have a clue what was going on. They just came to me and said, in the class, everyone stay in your room. We had no idea the significance of what was going on, but that was the game afterwards. So Tom Davis's very first year, this was the regional semifinals against Oklahoma, if I remember right. At his first year, where he got Bruce Pearl, Low House, Easy Ed, and Roy Marble here. So
Dr. Tom looked so young in that picture.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When I first came to Iowa City was 1988, so I had to have something. And this is thanks to Randy and at Hawk Toys. Randy and his family at Hawk Toys helped me find this 1988 poster. That was from when I first came here as a Hawkeye, as a freshman back in 1988. So.
Nice.
We'll come over here. Something else, like I said, the things that are significant to me, they're different moments and events. For example, Herky is one of my boys' favorites, where we had Herky come to the house, and that was pretty significant for my son. He came to the house and toured as well, and we got a Tiger Hawk on our driveway. So that was pretty significant to get a family picture there. But the other thing here that is pretty significant is that my boy, when he was probably age 1 to 4, used to, for daycare before preschool, stayed with a really awesome lady named Ruth, and it just happened to be Marshall Yanda's mom. She really took really great care of him. But the end result is that my boy Callan really got to know Marshall and his family, and Marshall's oldest boy is only just a few months younger than Callan. But one of the things, we were going to get a 2-year-old picture of Callan, my son Callan here. And she gave us this picture here. This is a picture from this jersey, is a number 2 Hawkeye jersey that was actually worn by Marshall when he was 2 years old as well. So she let us use that for a photo. It was pretty cool.
That is awesome. I guarantee you that's a one of a kind.
Yeah. And this is just Marshall giving him a signed photo. And we hope in 3 or 4 years, or 4 years from now, be heading to Canton for his induction. We'll see what happens there. So now up on the wall here, this is a picture of Kirk at his very first win as a Hawkeye coach. And unfortunately, it wasn't his first game. It was 1999. Sorry for the bad lighting, but it was against, I think, Northern Illinois. And I had him sign this when he was speaking at Carver Hawkeye, or excuse me, speaking at Carlos O'Kelly's. And the first thing he noticed is how much more gray his hair is now. But he signed it and then could not go into, he went into just minutes and minutes of details about the specific stats of that game. It was just a reminder that was his first win as a Hawkeye, and he remembered every single thing about that game. So it's pretty significant. So we'll come on over here. I got a Hawkeye poker table here. Compliments of Nebraska Furniture Mart of all places. So
they have some Hawkeye stuff there. They're definitely not full pro Husker.
They sure do. And this here is Hayden's very first win as a Hawkeye coach as well. So I got Kirk's first win. This is Hayden's first win as a Hawkeye coach back in 1979 against Iowa State of all places. So
Dave, where do you get some of these cool pictures at? Where do you find these?
These black and white ones, I used to go to the audio visual department, and it was in a building. It was right off of Van Allen, where they had, that's where the audio visual department was, where you could go in there and you'd say, I'd like to get 1988 field hockey. They'll give you a whole booklet of photos, and you pick out what you want, what size, black and white, whatever, and they give them 3 or 4 days and they'll have them made for you, which is pretty significant. So you can go in there and say 85 football, and you'd have a whole photo album of hundreds and hundreds of pictures of every single game. You could pick out what you wanted. That's not there anymore. It's all at the University of Iowa Digital Library. So it's a little harder to get necessarily to find what you're looking for, but those folks really got to know me pretty well. They were just really good. Some of these black and whites all came from here. And like I talk about, why are some of these pictures up? Because coaches, players that are significant to me, Gable's worthy of being on anybody's wall. So,
oh yeah,
Barry Davis and Jim Zaleski as well. So,
well, that's a cool picture.
Yeah, and compliments of Randy and Shannon at Hawk Toys. I told him, I said, I want to get the program and ticket stub from my very first Hawkeye game as a freshman. So sure enough, they found it for me. Iowa versus Colorado, first game in the fall of 1988 with a ticket stub they found for me. So Hawk Toys is another great resource to find that type of stuff. So
I need to do that too. I need to have them get me for my first game as well. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's significant because the first time I stepped foot in Kinnick Stadium as not selling popcorn, but as someone that was as a student sitting in the very first front row of the student section, ever since then, I've been hooked. So other little things here, just big moments in Hawkeye career for us. This is the last time we won the Rose Bowl. Unfortunately, it was 1959, obviously a long time ago. This is the naked bootleg against Michigan State. Everyone remembers that with Chuck and Coach Fry. 1987, I believe it is, the fourth down last catch. And the significance of this, so I can have a little Nebraska in my basement, of Bo Pelini missing the tackle. So
that's great.
These are just views from my seat at Kinnick. This is the Michigan game in 2016. And with some help from Hawk Toys, I got the program for that as well. So I've never been one to buy the program necessarily, but now I can find some of those. And this one's significant because it's Iowa-Pittsburgh. It was the game that Brent Greenwood came out and started the swarm and walked for the first time in front of Kinnick since his stroke. That was a pretty significant day for me. So.
Yeah, that was probably the coolest swarm of all time. I kind of lost it a little bit watching him come out. Everybody was so fired up. I told all those guys we've interviewed, if you're coming out of the tunnel and he's leading you, like you're gonna be able to rip someone's head off. That was so motivational.
Yeah. This one up here, it's a little bit of Iowa women's basketball. Years ago, they were seniors, but this is a senior picture for them. But when I taught an undergraduate class, a leadership course, where I had Vivian Stringers, that big recruiting class she had, and I believe it was 94. where I had all but one of them in my class, and there they are as seniors. It was pretty significant. They're just amazing folks to be around as well. So, but other things, this is the Iowa Nebraska game. Some will say it's one of the bigger early wins for Hayden Fry, and also, so I can say I got a little bit of Nebraska in my basement here. But also Kenny Arnold at the field house. I never really set foot in the field house. I don't have any experiences there except for that. And this was homecoming back in, I believe, 2003, with Coach Fry and Bo Schembechler giving each other. I think we were giving Bo an award, a plaque of some kind. So
you definitely have more cool pictures than any Hawkeye Cave I've ever seen.
And this was also done by the audiovisual department for me, and it's the kick. The October 19th, 1985 kick, but they put it in 3 different stages between before, during, and after kick, and the celebration there with that. So,
very cool.
Yeah. A couple other things here that are significant to me. A lot of times I'll have people my friends will maybe send me a message or call me and they say, hey, I just saw this for sale. They know how much of a collector I am, how much I love Iowa football. They'll say, hey, you want me to get it for you? And that's really neat because it shows that they're really thinking of me. So One of the things I want to show you over here is my friend Kyle, for his new office, got a bunch of paintings from this guy's out of Omaha that does original paintings, and he made this. And my friend Kyle saw it, thought of me, and bought it for me, which wasn't inexpensive at all. But just a 3-part painting. That this is a one of a kind that this gentleman, this painter, this artist in Omaha made, and was gifted to me by my friend Kyle. So it's pretty neat.
Wow, that is really, really cool.
A couple other things I want to point out because of Iowa. I go to all the home games. I've missed 3 home games in the last 33 years. But I will tell you that the away games, we always have between 12 and 25, 30 plus people over to watch the games on the big screen here. And one of the things that I always have, this right here is a Go Big Red seat back. We call this the seat of shame. So if anyone talks smack about the Hawkeyes, they have to sit on this, and you can't see it too well up here, but there's 3 different songs that are written out there that you have to sit on there, and you have to recite the Iowa fight song, On Iowa, and In Heaven There Is No Beer. So there's no smack talking of Hawkeyes here at Kenny, or here at my place. So
that's great.
One of the other things I want to point out, back in 2017, when we knew at the end of the season they're going to be taking down the north end zone, which just happens to be where we sit, we always told ourselves, we've been sitting here for a long time. We want our seats. How do we do it? Well, there's a long story behind it. I'm a little hesitant to even share this story, but this right here is that seat from 2017. So needless to say, it started with game number 1 with some WD-40, game number 2 with a little bit more WD-40, and trying to get it loosened. And then the second to last game just happened to be the woodshed game against Ohio State. As you can imagine, everyone's going crazy after that game. We realized, gosh, this is when we should have got this thing out of here. And we didn't, because there was still a game left. But then they happened to announce the last game was going to be an afternoon game and end in the dark. It was a pretty great game. I believe it was against Purdue. Long and short of it is, this is now in my basement. This is my seat from 2017. They destroyed that north end zone. Everything went to the landfill. But these are one of these 3 seats. Number seat 30 was my seat and then the people that we used to sit with there, the people that sat behind me are right here. People that sat on this side are right here. And the people that sat on the other side of me, there's a small picture there. Just kind of a reminder of the group of people we used to sit with in 2017 before they remodeled the north end of the stadium. So
that might be the single greatest memorabilia story I've ever heard in my life. How nervous were you sneaking that out of the stadium? Was your heart just pounding?
Well, it was a very cold night, and the last thing I wanted to do was be banned from Kinnick Stadium for the rest of my life. It would have made me very, very sad. So as you can see, we've got big screen for people to come watch the game. We've got extra chairs we put behind here. We seat as many people around here, but we've also got another TV over by the pool table. So we have kind of two different stages of Hawkeye watching if needed. So that is, in a nutshell, some of the some of the things in our basement that, as I tell my wife, it's a work in progress. It's never done. So things are starting to kind of leak upstairs, but they haven't actually leaked upstairs yet, as my wife's shaking her head at me right now. But it's been a fun go at it. I've been doing this for about almost 30 years, but really intensely for about 20 years of looking, searching, and finding good deals. I'm not one that has a ton of money. I'm trying to find a good deal. Some of the stuff was gifted to me. Some of the stuff I found on great deals. Some things, Randy has great deals at Hawk Toys.
Yeah.
And it's been fun collecting. It's become a kind of a passionate hobby of mine. So yeah.
I need to ask you about that floor that you're standing on, because that is super cool and unique. If I don't ask you, people are going to be like messaging me. We want to know about this floor. Where did you get that, and what material is that?
Well, I would tell you that most carpet is made down in Georgia, and I contacted a wholesaler down in Georgia, and I'll just show you real quick. This is, none of it's glued down. It's just like a puzzle piece. They're 2x2 carpet squares that just pop up and sit down.
Wow.
They fit in kind of like a puzzle piece. And this was, I had some of it in black and gold, and then I've really expanded it to cover most of the floor. Not the entire floor yet, but to cover most of the floor. And it's kind of nice if you have an accident with our dog or an accident with someone spilling food, you can take it up, replace it. You can replace it. You can scrub it and put it back down, but it's so easy to replace. This here is just these are 24x24 carpet squares, but these ones with a tire hawk are 18x18. So we got a little bit behind the bar that is just some of the smaller carpet squares as well. So.
Do those other carpet squares pop up quite a bit, or do they stay put pretty well?
They stay pretty good unless my beagle is running around and gets the zoomies, and sometimes the carpet squares will move, but they're easy enough to replace. So.
Okay. See, I love the point you brought up before too, that my wife was like, okay, your walls are full, so the collection is done. And I said, oh, honey, it's just beginning. Like it doesn't ever end. It's a lifelong passion. You're always looking for that next cool thing.
And as I told my wife, I can always move pictures closer together.
Yes.
A few years ago, this basement used to be like Harley themed before we bought it. And the gold is actually the same exact color from the floor at Carver Hawkeye Arena that a company in Iowa City provided for the Carver floor. That I got the exact same model of gold for the walls. So.
Okay. So if you were to pick one item in your basement, two if you have to, what would be your most cherished piece that you have?
Well, probably my seat from 2000s that I had, our bench, our 6-foot bench that came directly from Kennick.
Okay.
And the other piece, I'd say probably one of the other biggest pieces is just, I've got a lot of small pictures of my boy at different Hawkeye events, because he's grown up to be hopefully as unhealthy of a Hawkeye fan as I am. They're just reminders of moments of Hawkeye history for him and my wife. So,
Dave, what's the game day beer of choice in your basement? What type of beer do you have flowing down there usually?
Well, strangely enough, the last beer I had was 21 years ago, and it happened to be the very first beer. I've had one beer in my entire life, but I will tell you, the fridge is full of beer for people coming over for away games. So it is typically, it's a wide variety, because most people bring it to me. I don't necessarily purchase it, and then it doesn't get finished until the next away game. So it's a wide variety of whatever my friends bring. So.
Well, that basement is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm sure that all the Hawkeye collectors that are watching this, including myself, when you see other people's collections, it inspires you and gives you different ideas and, different things to do to your own cave. And you've definitely set the bar really high, Dave. That basement looks freaking awesome. And I'm hoping sometime soon, I'm just going to invite myself over, and hopefully you're going to let me come check it out.
Yeah, you're gonna have to stop by Hawk Toys, and then stop by. We're just down the street from him on the west end of West Branch. So we'd love to have you for an away game or before or after a home game, if you're coming to a game. So
Awesome. Well, I'll definitely reach out, Dave. And did you have anything else you wanted to show us before we closed up shop for tonight?
Well, I think one of the things, like I've seen many people that have these. This is that last catch against LSU in the Capital Bowl. And I would tell you that a friend of mine was at this game. I was not there. He was at the game, but left about 5 minutes before this play happened. So shame on him. But I would tell you that the audiovisual department, I would walk in there and I say, "You got anything cool?" And they said, "You know what? We made this for the athletic department." So, but now you see them in many different bars on campus and such. But this is the second one that was ever made. The first one was for the football team, and this was the second one that was made that I purchased from them. So it was a neat experience. And then suddenly you see it all over the place. But we had the second one after the athletic department. So
that is awesome. I have worn Holloway's practice locker in my basement, and I have that picture up in the locker that he signed. That was my first Iowa bowl game ever, was that Capital One Bowl, and we were so pissed at the end of the game because we were winning the whole game, and we're like, we're gonna freaking lose, like what the hell? And then we all know the history of that. Drew Tate and Warren Holloway kind of took care of the rest, so it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, my very first bowl game was the 90 season 91 Rose Bowl, where as a college junior, I sold basically everything of value to drive out to the Rose Bowl for that game. It was pretty it was a great week. It was a great weekend until the game started, kind of like the one, like the most recent Rose Bowl time too. So
yeah, I completely agree. It was an awesome experience. I went to the last one, and the whole trip was amazing, other than the outcome of the game. But hopefully next time we can go here pretty soon and get a Rose Bowl victory here within the next few years.
Yeah, very true. So I tell people that kind of collecting stuff, it's a marathon and not a sprint. So you just got to slowly work on it. Figure out, I'm far from a rich man, but you can find great deals and always ask around. And so you can find, different estates. I have different alerts that I'll get email alerts that'll say another Hawkeye estate coming up, and it'll be a couple hours away, or something local here. Unfortunately, in the Iowa City area, there are some pretty amazing man caves out there. Some of them are for folks a lot older than me that have a lot of things a lot older than me. But once again, almost everything I've got has some sort of significant meaning, either a specific event or a specific person that was important to me in Hawkeye history. So
that's what I told Randy too when I talked to him on our first episode of the Collector's Corner. Is most collectors, it doesn't really matter as much that like you have stuff that's worth a ton of money and you've spent a lot on it. It's the emotion and the memory that it brings back, and that's what it's all about. And if you happen to have some items that are worth a lot of money, that's cool, but that's not really what it's all about.
And like for example, above the pool table, I got a stained glass, Iowa Hawkeye stained glass.
Wow.
I found this. Someone was selling this in Cedar Rapids. Hated the Hawkeyes. Don't know how he got it. Sold it to me for $60. And stained glass Hawkeye stuff is pretty expensive. So
yeah, I'd say that'd probably go for like at least $350, $400 online.
And when he said he'd sell it to me, I got in the car and drove there immediately. So once again, it's just an example of a really good deal. So.
Well, Dave, you definitely have one of the best man caves in the whole state of Iowa. Definitely one of the best Hawkeye fan caves I've ever seen. But thank you for letting us invade your home and invade your basement. And make sure to tell your wife how stellar of a job she did on her camera work, because it has been top notch.
Good. Yeah. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you some weekend for an away game or before or after a home football game. So that would work.
Hey, I absolutely mean that, Dave. Let us know what works for you, and we'd love to make it out. It's like that's what the fun part, and that's why we do this Nebraska Hawks Nest. It's just awesome, just connecting with cool fans like you and getting to see these awesome man caves, and that's what it's all about. Just being a fan, because we're fans just like everyone else. So that's it's really cool. But thanks again, and we really appreciate it. Keep in touch, and we'll definitely be stopping out this season to have a couple beers, whatever's in that fridge. Jerry and I aren't picky, so we'll be happy to take whatever there is. We'll bring some too.
All right. The quest continues. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one, guys. Go Hawks.
Thank you. Bye.